That's one of the more convoluted screens that I've seen in a while there. There's a lot of logic, a lot of science going on from our friend Grapes over there, but awesome to have that content come up here after. Unfortunately, Taco Gaming did drop that game, so despite all the hype that we had, and me and Jolly predicting them taking the series, Dignitas Academy did strike first, so we want to touch on how that came to be, because Taco Gaming did have a strong start. They got a couple kills early on. Doxa, Cozy getting a solo kill, but Cubby, when it came down to it, Dignitas Academy, they had the team fighting composition, and they had really solid setups for those engages.
I think that was the big difference. Just the fact that so many of those fights in the mid game, we saw Dignitas not only have a numbers advantage, but they had one while Taco Gaming was on their side of the map. And so when the TPs come in, you have people like Camille that can navigate terrain the way that she can. You have people like Vex that can instantly just one-shot someone in your vac line if that ult connects. And then you have the Hextech ultimatum and the depth charge set it up. A little bit too much for Taco Gaming. So hopefully in the next game, they show a little bit more restraint going for those mid-lane turrets and maybe respect the TPs a little bit more, because Dignitas sure did punish them, and Spawn was the big benefactor off that too. He had a massive game.
I want to see more vision. That's for me the biggest thing. I know I touched on it at the very beginning. I touched on it at the very end. Dignitas had so much vision layered down specifically to try to make aggressive plays. And Taco, even when they were ahead, they barely had 2 wards on the map.
Yeah, they weren't tracking a lot of where Dignitas Academy were approaching from with different flank angles, and we have a couple of examples of that with replays. But before we dive into that, we actually wanted to run a different segment here, because I had a chance to sit down and chat with head coach of Taco Gaming, Shia, or Shia Zuri, depending on how you know him, and kind of get his thoughts on the team going into not only their matchup against Evil Geniuses Academy, but also their games today. So we want to hear from Shia. Coach for Taco Gaming, Shia, here for a very special interview after the first amateur team to knock out an academy team. I'm excited that I get a chance to chat with you. And my first question for you, Shia, I'm just interested how you got involved with Taco Gaming as an organization. I want to hear your story of how you came onto the team.
Hi, my name is Shazuri. I'm currently the head coach of Taco Gaming. I've been coaching for almost 3 years, and for this split, I'm coaching Taco Gaming for only 2 or 3 months. Before I went to NA, I was head coach of Impunity in PCS, and after that, I decided to go back to NA to test out my skills again against other amateur coaches. I was with AOE Esports for like a split. After that, I tried to get into a LCS affiliated team, but I failed to, and didn't want to do anything for this split. Wanted to take a break. Taco just called DM me asking if I wanted to be a head coach.
So the big story, of course, is that Taco Gaming took down Evil Geniuses Academy. You're the first amateur team to knock out an academy team in Proving Grounds. What was your preparation like going into the match?
Before receiving our brackets, or obviously pushing down to loser brackets, once we know our matchups, we realize we actually can beat EGA easily, since we know their players well and we know how they play. It just comes down to draft and to check whether some of these things are true about them. After game 1, we were a little bit demoralized since we had a huge lead early game and we threw a couple of times. But I told the team, we are the aggressor, we are the better team. All they do is just sit back and watch us make mistakes. So all we had to do was focus, don't be nervous, do our setup, and make sure just execute, don't rush things.
Now, what was the time zone difference for you during the games? What time was it in Singapore?
It was 6 a.m. when our match started. Yes, so I was drafting from my phone with my notes beside me, so it was really early in the morning.
That is absolutely crazy, but really cool that you have that level of dedication to the team. Now, obviously, you picked up the win, and now you have another series ahead of you against Dignitas Academy. So I don't want to ask you too much about your prep for that, because obviously you want to keep that secret. But I'm curious your thoughts on each of your players. I'd love for you to just walk me through the roster, give me your opinions of strengths, weaknesses, what you've been working on with each of your players.
Yeah, okay, our team identity is we are very aggressive inside games. Almost as if teams call us a team deathmatch team, since every game we are on, we have over 30 kills, 40 kills, because we always try to make plays and we try to always be the one that make the plays on the map. For each player, Cozy Shroud, he used to be quiet as a player. He doesn't talk. He's a yes man. But after a couple of months where I talked to him and make sure if he really wants to win, he has to talk more, communicate with his team on what he wants, what he needs. Just gotten better as a player, as a person as well. Now usually says no to me, which is very surprising at times. So that's a good thing to say, better than saying yes or not arguing back. For Trickster, he's a very special kind of guy. I like him because he talks back and he will voice out his opinion the moment he doesn't like it inside the draft. But he's always a team player. He always gives up his resources or his picks so others can have good matchups for him. And he's one of the shot callers in the team. For Doxa, this guy is crazy. He can play almost every champion at a high level, like his Zoe, Zed, and his Rise. To me, Doxa is one of the people I hope who go to academy, since he has a lot of potential. He doesn't talk back to people. He does listen and try to have a discussion to understand one perspective. For Lynx, he used to be a yes man as well. He didn't communicate that he was getting screwed over in lane. Like, his wave is huge. He allowed his support to roam instead of him calling his support down to make sure to protect him from the enemy dive. Now he does communicate that he needs help. And he's always a consistent carry as an AD carry. Like, you can always rely on him to carry if you give him a lead in the bottom lane. For Rovex, this guy, he was a mid laner main. He went to support. So we had to be patient with him to learn some of the matchups as a support, but he always picks up quickly on these matchups. Of course, we have a lot of arguments, hours long of discussion. We had to spend time and go over matches to understand what he thinks about this matchup and how he wants to play it. And he has a very interesting point of view of a support.
I love hearing from coaches about their opinions of the players of the teams. But now we know that your next opponent here will be Dignitas Academy. You've already gotten through one Academy team. Now I want you to give a strong message to your opposition in Dignitas Academy. What do you want them to know, Shia?
Hey, Deos, I'm coming back for you. Just remember how we used to draft against each other in mock drafts or in other competitive matches. I'm back. For Darkwings, I know you went to Academy, but I'm here to also take you down, so be prepared to lose.
Thank you so much, Shia, for coming on and chatting with us, and best of luck going into your series against Dignitas.
Thank you.
Yeah, and man, that interview, Kangas, I mean, good stuff, but I think it just really speaks to, you know, the drive that Taco Gaming has as a team with, like, no financial support behind them. The fact that Shia doing this from Singapore, waking up at 6 a.m. to make sure that, you know, he's got his notes ready, he's on his phone, getting the drafts ready. And I know that, you know, from speaking with kind of the manager and the namesake of Taco Gaming, Taco himself, otherwise Matico on Twitter, you know, he speaks so highly of the drive of this team, and, you know, it got pretty honest, like, before this game, like, hey, you know, we have no resources. We are an amateur squad. Sometimes, you know, that causes strife. Sometimes it's not the easiest time, you know, with the team, but we're here because we believe in each other. And, you know, his hope in the future is that, you know, these players, whoever's a part of the staff and himself, you know, they can be supported with resources in somehow, some way in the future, whether that's amateur growing, whether that's them finding spots in academy. But I think that was like one moment, just hearing him, you know, really praise his players, hype them up, and then hearing Shia, you know, go through his Singapore routine in the morning. Hopefully everything's fine and dandy over there as he's getting ready for the Game 2 draft now. Yeah.
6 a.m.'s early. Yeah, now it's what, like 7 a.m. for them as they're getting ready for Game 2. And with that in mind, we wanted to actually chat about a key moment from that last game and try and think about how Taco Gaming can approach this next one differently. Something that we mentioned, Jolly, in draft was the engage options from Dignitas Academy. And you can see that Taco Gaming, like you were saying, no vision. They don't see all these different angles Dignitas are coming in from, and Dignitas take full advantage of that.
And this was, you know, kind of the most vision that we saw from this team too, was really just one or two wards in the river to sort of support them on some of these plays. And, you know, yeah, as we roll this clip, this is a situation where front line lacking on the side of Taco Gaming means that crowd control that is also being stacked right now coming from Dignitas Academy is just too much to deal with. That is probably the biggest change that I would like to see going into this next draft, as Taco Gaming has selected red side, so they have some opportunities as well to get a little bit of counter picks and counter play in.
Yeah, I also just want to highlight, they're trying to push all 3 lanes at once. When you do that, you don't see the enemy. You got to be really careful. Dignitas, able to really have some textbook punishes, utilizing TP advantage so well that game. I feel like that was, the real big difference in terms of team v team. How Dig were able to overcome some nice early attempts from Taco Gaming to get Doxa ahead at the start of the game. Dignitas overcame that, ended up taking a pretty dominant game, 1 win in the end.
Thing that we know about Taco Gaming is they are aggressive. Coach even said it. Hey, we have like 40 plus kill games in most of the ones that we come into, and that one was no exception there. So I'm expecting action in this next one, but maybe they can also temper that with more vision control. But with that said, I'm hearing that the players are ready to get into pick and ban for game number 2. So enough chit chat. Let's see what they're bringing to the Rift.
Excellent. Thank you very much there, Kangas. Of course, as usual, we're going to check in with you, and hopefully it is between games 2 and 3, not at the end of the series. Of course, as we know, though, Dignitas Academy has set themselves up right now for match point. So if they take this next game, it will be over in a sweep, Cubby.
Jolly's staying loyal to those predictions. Still has the Taco Gaming 2-1 dream. I respect it. We'll have to see if Taco Gaming can bring a little bit more to the Rift this game, as we do have a side swap. And I think that something that might help Taco Gaming in the side swap is that I expect Dignitas to have a pretty similar identity. Get spawn a big late game carry, run the game from there. So I wouldn't be surprised Dignitas honestly first picked Aphelios. Maybe that's the gambit that Taco Gaming are running if they end up getting Aphelios on their side, or if they get to counter a jungler for Trickster. As I think that's something that, because all those fights ended up going Dignitas' way, XU got so big on the front line of Udyr, and Jolly, I teased grabbing that big backliner for spawn, maybe first pick, that Aphelios. It looks like Taco Gaming, they're going to respect that. Changing up their strategy a little bit from the last game, not only the side swap, but also the bans. Going to take away that Aphelios. Now do we see a first pick Zeri?
We just might hear for Dignitas, especially given how prevalent Spawn is on that champion. There's no reason not to at this point, right? And with Taco Gaming, we saw their first pick that they locked in for that game number 1 on blue side was actually the Volibear. So I like the fact that we're hovering instead some counter picks or some response picks to the ADC. I would love to see this Xayah locked in. This already provides more escapability and more crowd control and lockdown opportunities for Taco Gaming than they had in game number 1.
And something curious is Rovex isn't a Nautilus player. Actually, has yet to play Nautilus. So there is going to be no Nautilus locked in here for Taco Gaming. One of the traditional picks we see played really well in this area, just given that depth charge does guarantee the lockdown. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if JJ grabs it here. It is his most played, and it pairs all right with the champ. So I know it's not, it doesn't always feel fantastic in the Xayah, but that could be the option. Whereas Trickster takes Lee Sin. Now, Trickster's Lee Sin, it's been 6-2 throughout Proving Grounds and his amateur games to split. It's been very good. This is also the champion that XU's known for the most. And he's going to respond with a Hecarim, and it's actually not going to be the Nautilus, Jolly. This is going to be Yuumi, so Dignitas, a lot of scaling early on their side of the draft.
Oh my goodness. I haven't seen a Yuumi in weeks now, Cubby. It's actually been a pretty high priority in terms of bans. There are definitely certain teams that want to play it out, but when we're talking about the style that Dignitas likes to run with, in that very aggressive style, whether it's from the beginning or scaling towards the late game, that is what this lines up to be. Doxa is going to lock in that LeBlanc one more time. He started out the game incredibly well. He was winning out on some of those solo fights, but it's when that lack of frontline really came into play that he ended up facing a lot of gray screen.
And we did tease going into this matchup, Taco Gaming, the way that I thought they could take a game off Dig, it was going to be through this mid-jungle duo. Lee Sin LeBlanc. How many times have we seen this mid-jungle duo drafted and run games throughout the history of League of Legends itself, Jolly? I mean, this is the strategy for Taco Gaming. It is about Trickster, Doxa, getting Doxa ahead and having him take that advantage and push it into sides, push it into the rest of the map. And this time around, he's going to get to take away some of the counters. Going to be the Vex this time. Doesn't want Darkwings to have that again.
Not just the counters, but you have to feel good if you're Dignitas Academy when it's respect bans. When you have multiple champions that you just played with, that you just kicked some butt in terms of those team fight plays in the latter half of the game. Vex was too dominant in those. She was able to stay on the outskirts of things. You Shadow Surge, and you have the decision at that point whether or not you even want to go into the back line, and then the continuation of the follow-up if you get the execution locked down on it. So I like the fact that they have that banned away. Of course, no surprise we're going to get cozy bans. I wouldn't be surprised if a second one actually came through up against that player on the top side. Maybe something like the Tryndamere that we've seen him do very well on.
Still going to be the Corki, so just changing out the Azir ban for the Vex in terms of the differing approach here for Taco Gaming. Now, the curious thing is, you know, the Nautilus, I mentioned that Rovex is actually yet to play it, and I actually appreciate the fact that Dignitas, they're still going to ban it. I think that Nautilus, it's so good in the Zeri, it's really good in the Yuumi. This is a very weak lane early. Nautilus can punish that. So even though Rovex has no games on the champion, still taking that away from him. And now we'll see if Rovex decides to match Enchantresses, as of course he was a mid lane role swap recently. I think he's actually been performing very well on some of the Enchantresses, and wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Soraka potentially coming out here, or maybe even a Zillion. It's really good against Hecarim, and that will be the choice for Rovex.
It's locked in. You know, you kind of expect if Rakan is still on the table. He is very strong. He allows for that initiation. He's not the front line of the survivability necessarily that maybe Taco Gaming wants to supply for their team. So they've got the Zillion. That's going to allow your Lynx to stay in the fight a lot longer than he might anticipate. It also does provide some lockdown if you get the double bombs available, plus a little bit of extra speed, probably likely for Trickster in the later half of the game, or Doxa to be able to continue the fights that are attempted to be disconnected from Dignitas.
Or take away that speed with the Hecarim. We've seen Zillion played in the Hecarim really successfully, taking away all that move speed. It turns Hecarim into a very immobile champion that doesn't do a lot. So I really like this pick into Hecarim. It's shown success in Academy, and we'll see if Rovex can pilot it well enough, because it is a weaker laning phase. You are trading that for strength later. Whereas we're going to see Dignitas wrap up this draft. They had a ton of scaling in the first 3, so it looks like they're going to draft a couple bridges. Will be the Ahri in the mid lane. If you land that charm, you can't beat the block, but I think this is a matchup that Doxa can win. And it's going to be that trusty old Renaxman top side for Eclipse, with the already taken off the table.
And we can see Rovex hovering, you know, some of those strong picks that we know that he likes to go with. Of course, Camille is going to be that long-standing hover. That side lane that they were attempting to go with is working through, but it's definitely not an easy matchup if you're going into the Renekton. I kind of like the first 2. I'm not going to lie. You know, having an Aatrox pop into this, at least leading into the later game stages for this team, probably would have been good for Taco. But again, they like to focus side lane pressure, and I think that's what Cozy's going to do once more.
And you know what? If it wasn't Zeri, I would have really liked the Aatrox too. But into Zeri, it's so hard to land those sweet spots with how much move speed you could stack up during a fight. So I think Taco Gaming's saying that and say, no, we're going to take that losing topside matchup, and we still are going to value the Camille, the Hextech Ultimatum, the ability to lock down Zeri and get on top of her. That's the priority for Taco Gaming. We'll see if they can pull it off. I think that Hextech Ultimatum plus Double Bomb, if you can find that combo, could be a winning recipe for Taco Gaming on the red side. Whereas for Dignitas, XU, he's going to have to get resources on this Hecarim and try and slow down this Lee Sin LeBlanc. Because if we look at Taco Gaming, they should have priority in the mid lane, in jungle, and bot lane early. And I want to see if Taco Gaming can utilize this and show some of that aggression that Shia was talking about in the interview with Kangas. You know, they're a team that's not afraid. They want bloodbaths. It feels like they excel in those situations, and they have the advantage early. So I want to see if Taco Gaming, I know their backs are up against the wall, but they have the ability to push the pace and do some good things in the early game.
And we saw them push the pace. We saw them play a pretty speedy game, right? It took a little while. It took several minutes for that first blood to actually come through. But once they hit the ground running, Taco Gaming was trying not to hold anything back. Really, it did come towards that middle part of the game where they didn't have any vision, that Dignitas Academy was able to find some outplays on them. But this is kind of the style that I was talking about that Trickster really likes to play. Early engages. Doesn't matter if he's level 2, level 3. He wants to go in and gank those lanes as early as possible, and particularly Doxa's lane. And I think, like you were talking about, with this Lee Sin LeBlanc matchup, it's going to give him a big opportunity to do that.
It's the notorious mid-jungle duo we've seen throughout so many iterations of League of Legends. It's back, and Taco Gaming, it's what they are relying on to try and push them to a Game 3, keep themselves alive in the lower bracket here in Proving Grounds. They're trying to take down another Academy team in their lower bracket run. But Dignitas has proved to be a little bit a pretty worthy opponent after that first game, and I think it's going to be a tough task for Taco Gaming. I think a lot of it's going to rely getting ahead early, Jolly. Very important that this LeBlanc gets running. And Jolly, with that in mind, my eyes immediately go towards the setup here for Taco Gaming. It is no teleport for Doxa. It is an Ignite. We're going to have to see how quickly Trickster makes his way into the mid lane and if Darkwings can deal with it.
And that was a big thing that you kind of touched on in between those games earlier, Cubby, was just the teleport advantage that was held by Dignitas. And it wasn't even that they had, you know, more teleports in that instance. It was specifically that they had saved them for the right times. And they recognized where they needed to utilize them in some of these fights, and to, you know, whether it was continuing a fight that ended up lasting way longer than it potentially could have, or turning something around in their favor.
It's about finding the angles. And that's something that Dig, It's not as easy for them to do again this time around, but we'll see if they can rinse, repeat, and replicate it. As looking at the junglers, both junglers going bot to top. Something that I like from Dig as well, because we've been talking a lot about the early game of Taco Gaming, their ability to try and make plays on the Rift. The one area that Dignitas, I think, can really try and push an advantage, it is this Renekton into Camille on the top side. If you can set this Camille behind, that could be really big for the side of Dignitas, as this is a matchup that Renekton does win early.
Yeah.
And if he is able to do it, set that Camille behind, it could be really tough for Taco Gaming to continue to snowball the early game that they're looking for.
Yeah, kind of part of the reason that I was really surprised that Cozy locked in this Camille as the final selection, because Eclipse is an aggressive player. He has the upper hand in the early parts of this game, doesn't have to worry about his mana, just gets to build up rage, and also has a lot of sustainability here as a solo player, which allows XU to focus as much as he wants on Spawn and JJ in the bottom, and then potentially Darkwings as well.
And it's something where immediately, we're seeing Trickster. It is going to be warded out. I really like this from Dig. Look at the top side of the map. They just dropped a Trinket and the Tri-Brush, and they just had one die in the top side river. So Trickster, if he does want to try and help out Cozy, will be spotted in the top side if he does take the standard path. And you can see Eclipse. Oof. Oh, boy.
Oh!
Eclipse?
Oh!
He's dead. Oh, no.
Will the Ignite ticket? No
oh,
way! No way! He uses his flash, but he gets ignited, and Cozy wins an easy first blood.
And that's a huge mistake from Eclipse, because if you look at where XU's pathing, they were setting up for, maybe a dive. Eclipse just not respecting the fact that Ignite was available for Cozy. He goes down. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for Taco Gaming, Jolly, as Eclipse loses out on more creeps, gives over first blood to Cozy, and look at that itemization, that early sheen for the Camille. Really going to help in some of these trades. And XU immediately coming up here, trying to forgive the sins of Eclipse. Does he look for the Krugs or a dive?
We'll have to see, because Trickster is on the backside. He's going to be able to Sonic Wave over. He's actually in the bush, and Trickster doesn't have eyes on him. We'll have to see if he steps into this. Cozy navigating down is going to be able to take away this ward that's set in the bush. XU maybe just going to try to go for a sneaky recall. No, realizes that he might get found out by two members. A smart call there.
Dignitas might think of themselves as a dark horse in this tournament. That horse was really trying not to get caught there. Dark horse.
Trickster, though, going in. He hits the Sonic Wave. He's going to flash away. He goes back in onto it for Eclipse, who's going to be able to Q out of that. Trickster will end up going down. Cozy try to follow this one up. Of course, does not have flash available. Just use the hook shot to re-engage on that fight. And it should be a double kill going over to XU. Beautifully done. Of course, we can see Darkwings moving up and saying, oh, you don't need me. Okay.
And for Dig, that was huge. The fact that Eclipse was able to sneak out of this. Let's take a second look. You can see Trickster. He's trying to dodge out of the stun because he knows it can't be one shot. But Eclipse, that dash, it got him out of the Camille hook shot. And then XU stacking up the Conquer on the Hecarim, now taking the red buff, is just able to run down this Camille early. And we said that it was exactly what the doctor ordered for Taco Gaming on the top side, getting Cozy that first kill. But just like that, Dignitas, some good play out of their top side, able to turn that around immediately. The two players that were an amateur in 2021 stepping up big for the Academy squad here in Game 2.
We love to see it. And it might not be the team or the players that are still on an amateur team right now, but Dignitas coming into this one nice and strong. They've got a bit of a gold lead for themselves, and a big lead right now for Doxa in the mid lane in opposition to Darkwings here, who has been missing quite a few of these charms, has not wasted some time, but used a bit of time to try to respond to some of the plays elsewhere on the map and hasn't quite gotten there. So a bit of a saving grace right now for Taco Gaming is that Doxa still has the ability to pop off big.
Yeah, I was surprised that they took the Ahri into this matchup, because I think it's something that especially with Doxa with Ignite, I really like the Ahri side of this matchup. You can actually outrange Charm with your chain, and especially pre-6, really play around with that range and try and find an advantage as the Blanc. Something that, while we've been watching a lot of the action that's been happening across the map, it seems like Doxa's been doing very well. And Darkwing's even respecting that, going for the early Merc Treads, whereas top side, action continues.
Trickster going to follow in on this one. Cozy throws down Hextech Ultimatum. A beautiful play right there by XU is going to ensure that there is at least a bit of clapback. And Cozy, thanks to that blast code being utilized just a little bit ago by Trickster, means that he's not going to be able to survive. It's a double kill in response by XU.
And XU is fed out of his mind early because of this topside, Jolly. The second time in a row, Dignitas win the 2v2. And, you know, in game one, we were setting up the fact that, you know, Dignitas is a team where it's the spawn carry show. But I think in this one, really the one point of power that Dig had early on the map, Jolly, was the Renekton on the top side. And I love how Dignitas shifting their focus, playing towards that, and saving the mistake that Eclipse made early, now turning it into an advantage. The Renekton still loses a lot of those resources, but this Hecarim being this fed early, Jolly, could be dire for the side of Taco Gaming.
Oh, yeah. This is where Eclipse is like, yeah, that was all part of the game plan. I meant to die early on.
I baited the Ignite.
Yeah, exactly. Baited out the Ignite from Cozy. Forced the recall. Of course, he comes back with the Sheen, but uses the teleport on that one. And XU having all 4 kills at this early part in the game. It's 7 minutes, and he's got a 400 gold bounty on his head, Cubby. That is pretty nutty. It's also going to put a really big target on the head of XU.
Yeah, that entire gold lead sits in XU's pockets. You'll get the scoreboard and then look at how much gold he has. Shout out to our wonderful observing team for highlighting that one for us, as now looking top. Cozy doesn't have ult, and you can see Eclipse, that Renekton matchup, even though he is behind in the items, going Kindle Gem first, not ideal. You want that pickaxe. Eclipse still able to utilize the early might of Renekton and push Cozy around a little bit. Oh boy, now a lot of it. He has flash.
Yeah, we can see the ultimate has been burned there by him. He's going to flash forward, throw the W out of Q. He wasn't able to get the last hit, though. He actually walked away. He thought the Q was going to do it. Cozy stays alive.
Meanwhile, bot.
Oh, XU's going to flash forward, go in. Out comes the onslaught of shadows. JJ is actually going to pop out, pick up that kill, head back into XU and say, my apologies, my bad. Trickster, in the meantime, has started up on this Rift Herald. Eclipse trying to do what he can to prevent that from being taken.
And I think Eclipse is just going to easily make sure that this can't be started. And honestly, if you're the side of Taco Gaming, you got to have Cozy reset first. Cozy very low, just got its TP back. We'll be able to get back to the lane. Maybe Taco Gaming can look then, but all the meanwhile, Taco Gaming has not been able to respond to the plays that Dignitas has been able to make. And really, it's been the responses from Dignitas that have been wonderful this game. The counter ganks from XU have been huge. Now shifting that into the prio play bot side, getting spawn ahead again, Jolly. It's a game where that early game plan we set up for Taco Gaming, yes, Doxa had a CS lead, but he wasn't able to cash in anything pre-6, and now we'll see if this LeBlanc can get out of lane. It's tough against the Ahri. Once she gets doubles, gets a lot of wave clear.
Yep, it is very tough, especially with the momentum in general is on the opposite side. We can see here Cozy's going to go in, though. Manages to find the Hextech ultimatum, and Trickster doing what Trickster does best, living up to his namesake, coming in out of nowhere.
Yeah, really good punish, especially given that Eclipse did go for that all-in, fell just short. Because of that, Trickster able to answer. It was after the TP, so Cozy had items, and I love Trickster just immediately starts up this Herald. Should be going over to the side of Taco Gaming. Much needed for them if they want to keep on getting back into this game.
Eclipse having to burn that teleport to head on back. Darkwings dealing a lot of damage here to Doxa. He's going to go in for the chains. Spawn, gonna manage to find something a little bit there. Also coming out of the back of JJ. Doxa likely able to go down here, but of course, when you have the Zillion, you can stay alive potentially. Darkwings finds out Cozy to start this one out, and now it is a 4v1. Doxa gets exhausted. He's gonna be able to hop over the wall, but he's running into the enemy jungle. Nobody else from his team is there to help out, and once again, Dignitas should have the speed to pick this up, no problem.
And, I mean, the saving grace for Taco Gaming is that Rovex walked away with a Rift Herald somehow, but we'll have to see, get a second look at this one, as this play developing quickly. Looks like Rovex able to take it, but it's such a split fight for Taco, and they're down a member. You can see on the bot side, Lynx was sticking around to try and get some farm, and now Lynx, oh boy.
Oh, a nice ultimate right there coming out of JJ. Gets a little bit of a lockdown, so XU can follow up on that. And now Cubby, he's 6-0-2. I know it's a Mundo tag, but he can go where he pleases at this point.
And honestly, like, in Academy this year, this has been one of the real joys of watching XU in his first split. It's a lot of his growth, because starting off the year, XU, he was known for the gankers. And we even saw him win a game in the LCS lock-in with Lee Sin on stage, was known for his Lee Sin, his Graves, his Jarvan play. But I think one of the big areas of growth from Dignitas is the fact that he is now expanding his champion pool, and he's looking good on farmers. And the counter ganks that he's been making this game, and then shifting that into proactive plays bot side, it's been the big difference for Dignitas as he is massive on the scoreboard. He's asserting his will everywhere in the Rift.
I think his ears are burning as you're talking him up. He decides to go in on another big play. Of course, he doesn't have the ultimate available. The blast cone right there. Maybe not the exact direction Taco Gaming wanted to go, but it is going to allow them to escape safely.
And with every single play actually makes, it feels like he's just getting something more for his team, as he's now even got the Yuumi in his back pocket. Jolly, I mean, if 602 wasn't big enough, you have the Yuumi? Like, how does Taco Gaming deal with this? It feels like Rovex needs so many more levels to get this, though, and maybe have the opportunity to do so.
Oh, there we go. Trickster looking for a big play. The bomb is going to drop onto JJ. The ultimate coming out of Rovex is going to at least keep Trickster alive. He's going to be able to Sonic Wave and hop back over to his ally. And you know what, Cubby? I think it just reinforces that, yes, a horse can, or a cat can, in fact, ride a horse. As we can see, SU, I mean, just dominating. He's even going to go into the enemy jungle, pick up the blue buff, and say, you know what? We'll take whatever we can get, even if it's not a kill.
And speaking of taking what you can get, Spawn taking 2 plates on his own again this game in the bot side on a different champ, Jolly. A little bit of help from XE this time around, but good to see Spawn continue to perform well as Trickster just looking to help his bot lane make sure this wave gets in. They can reset safely.
Spawn not even scared. Spawn's like, I can dodge out. I can fancy foot away from some of these abilities. We see it right there. We see the bomb miss. We see the Sonic Wave miss. We see Spawn very comfortable on this Zeri Bana mainstay. A nice charm right there on top of it in the mid side as Doxa and Darkwings go at each other, just popping a bit back and forth. Still, not a massive lead, though we have to acknowledge that Dignitas has at the moment. Comeback ability absolutely available for Taco Gaming.
If they want to come back, it still has to be through this LeBlanc. And I think one of the perks about, while all this has been going down, we've been hyping up Axio a lot, talking about how, he's really developed as a player, started to play well in the Farmers, having a great game in the Hack Room. Cozy, after that last kill on Eclipse, has actually found a really big lead, a sizable lead in the top side in this Camille versus Renekton matchup that Renekton does win. And I think that if Taco Gaming wants to try and find a comeback, it has to be off of Cozy and Doxa syncing up, utilizing that Hextech ultimatum to lock someone down and popping them for the first kill of the fight.
Trickster's been making some nice fancy plays, and Rovex has come in clutch on keeping Trickster alive when he goes in a little too far. So that's kind of another, saving grace that we talk about for this Taco Gaming team is you can step out of line momentarily. You know that Dignitas is going to punish you for it, but given the fact that you've got Rovex with his ultimate available, you have a little bit of recover ability in your pocket. Cozy now making a play here onto Eclipse. He's just going to be able to slow. Oh, no, he doesn't even need to slice and dice over the wall. That was rude.
That's one sneaky croc. He's going to make Cozy miss another wave for that. And in fact, they might even look for a play.
There we go. The ultimate coming out from him. The Hextech ultimatum in response. But you do have XG, you do have Trickster, and you do have Doxa. Eclipse likely going to go down. The chains are going to miss. Doxa finds the ultimate coming out of XU. He's going to have to back off, though. A nice kick out of Trickster to ensure Cozy doesn't go down. They're continuing the fight on to Darkwings. The charm hitting Trickster back onto the side, though. XU continues on in this one. It is the ultimate coming out of Rovex that will help out the rest of his team. Will it be enough, though? So much damage on the backside. Trickster actually manages to stay alive through the charm. The fight continues to Darkwings. Cozy is the target, though. He picks up one. He's going in for the next, and a double kill 2v1 comes out in favor of Darkwings.
Darkwings, that was insane. The resets on the Ahri, the fact that he was able to stay in the fight, find the resets and the flash too to make sure that second Q connected. We said that Darkwings was looking for more pop-off moments as a player. Jolly, that was one right there.
Oh my gosh, that was incredible. Let's take another look at this, and I'm going to let you break that down because I'm still recovering on my breath, Gubby.
Yeah, I mean, so Taco, like we said, that any play they have to make, it's got to be around their solo laners. They want to take the 3v3. They have their bot lane rotating first. I can respect that. But yeah, we just have to watch the Darkwing show. First off, the charm to cancel syncs up the Q with the knockback from XU. Now the resets come in. And this is where things get a little bit wild for Darkwings. Another beautiful Q, hits everyone, the charm as well. But this one on Cozy, this was the real impressive one because he flashes to make sure the second part of this Q connects. Look at that. Such good Ahri play. Sidesteps down the dodge onto the Sonic Wave. Darkwings, man, you are insane. Throw that one on your highlight reel, man. Good plays coming out of the mid lane or dig.
Oh, So it's huge. And not only that, but that sets Darkwings up now 4-0-2. Sure, XU ended up going down for the first time in this game. He's now 7-1-5. It was a pretty big bounty, and I believe that one ended up going over to Cozy, so that's some more money in the pocket of that player. We can see the Executioner's calling being picked up by them, trying to get a little bit of grievous wounds out on board, but the games are still being played by XU. There it is, the ultimate in response. Cozy is going to throw out X-Tech Ultimatum. The ultimate from Rovex does come through onto Trickster. They continue the fight. He's going to find the one onto Darkwings, who gets shut down big time. XU followed up. Spawn, the flash forward though. He's going to get rooted thanks to the Blade Caller. That Sonic Blade does hit from Trickster. He's going to be able to find another one though thanks to JJ's Q. The Rift Herald coming into play here. Going to take some more aggression and some more damage here onto the tower. Dignitas turning around would look like potentially a scary fight. The W's going to miss it. He fancy foots that though. He's going to go for the follow-up. He gets the second, and it's a split between JJ and Spawn as they share a big play for Dignitas.
Oh, man. And, you know, for the entirety of this game, XU, he's been the one with the Yuumi. He's been the one zooming around the map. But Spawn says, it's my time to skirt around a little bit. He stacks up that Zeri passive, and he just continues to push forward in this fight. And props to Spawn, because he needed to turn this one around. This is a good start to the fight from Taco Gaming. They find the revive. They take the big Fed member of Dignitas down in XU. They had a really nice setup on the Darkwings as well, but then it's just the Spawn show. They used all their abilities to take down the two Fed members of Dig, and they can't deal with his Zeri for the rest of the fight, Jolly, because he just keeps on stacking up the passive. He keeps on going faster, and it's a little bit too fast for Taco Gaming, and Spawn ends up taking him down.
Yeah, and then you can throw the Yuumi on top of you at the end right there. We saw JJ was actually able to pick up a couple of those kills. He is zooming, and you know, while you have a Zillion on one side, sure, you can get a little bit of survivability. You got the ultimate, you've got the speed, but it's not enough when Spawn stacks up as much as he can on his passive.
And now, I mean, this game's looking so dire for the side of Taco Gaming after the two really big punches they tried to throw that Dignitas counter punch back. Because they didn't connect, you're down 6k gold. Dignitas, I very much favor the scaling they have, given the Hecarim Yuumi, given the Zeri. And for Taco Gaming, it really feels like this formula they had, the Lee Sin in the block, trying to free them up. They've gotten outplayed the last two times they've met. A lot of that's the gold lead that Dignitas has, as well as the scaling. And, you know, credit to Taco Gaming. They're not going down without a fight, but this is tough. I mean, they can't even get into their own side of the jungle to try and contest this second dragon spawning here shortly.
And that was where they were struggling in the previous game, too, was the lack of vision that we were talking about. They now have the initiation that maybe they didn't have in game number 1 here against Dignitas Academy, but when it comes to map control, that is currently held by Dignitas. And there it is, the onslaught of shadows to come out through once again. The ultimate as well out of JJ, and oh my goodness, it's way too much damage coming through from Darkwings, who picks up a double kill. XU and JJ on the backside are going to find another, and now Dox is the only surviving member, has to flash away from this fight. Dignitas A-okay with letting him survive.
And something that we credited Dignitas a lot for throughout the Academy regular season, Jolly, is when they make a play, they do it together. And that was a good example. I love the focus they had on the Zillion. Rovex never was able to get his ultimate off in that fight, so they don't have to win the 6v5. It's just the 5v5. We take a second look. Look at how Dignitas pulled the trigger together. It's a beautiful ult from both XU and JJ, but it's all damage pumped onto Rovex. They understand the target selection. They understand the mission. Take down the Zillion. Easy fight from there. No Enchantress to power up the rest of Taco Gaming. Dignitas continue to push their lead forward.
Oh, man. It's now 20 minutes in this game, and we are looking at close to an 8k gold lead right now in favor of Dignitas. That has been jacked up pretty quickly, Cubby, because it was a very close game up until the last two fights that we have seen back to back to back. But 4 towers having gone down now in favor of Dignitas. Again, it comes down to that map pressure. And when we take a look at the vision, there's not enough right now for Taco Gaming to really sustain themselves and find a good fight. And in the meantime, they have to send Cozy to these side lanes to try to get a little bit of responding pressure.
I think Cozy might be able to pick up this bot outer turret. It was actually a good setup from Taco. The fact they were able to get an objective bounty here is good. But yeah, I think the craziness of this game can really be stated by the CS of Eclipse. We're 20 minutes in, and he has like 105 creeps in his pocket. I mean, Taco Gaming has really turned this one into a slugfest. It's something that Shia said in the interview with Kangas. This team's not going down without a fight. Definitely something that Taco Gaming is embracing here, as of course they are match point, tournament point for them in the lower bracket. Trying to at least find a couple trades on sides, but Dignitas, they're the ones trading up still. It's an inhibitor tower now, a 21-minute inhibitor falling in their favor.
And we saw 3 members, too, of Taco Gaming there were not available to respond to that. It was Trickster and Rovex who actually recalled to try to prevent that inhibitor from going down. It didn't happen. Yes, Cozy was able to get the pressure. It looks like he's actually going to be able to pick up a second tower. So these little confiding plays that were coming through are in favor of Cozy, just like you were talking about, you know, potentially going to keep Taco Gaming alive in this play. But Dignitas already starting out the Baron. Once again, it's only a minute and a half after it spawns. They're actually going to disconnect there in anticipation of the fight.
Honestly, they saw Cozy's TP immediately and just pulled back. I kind of like this from Dig, just not risking it. They know that Taco Gaming has numbers in the moment, but now they're going to counterpunch. Here comes their TP.
There it is, and Cozy is in a vulnerable position. Eclipse makes the move, gets the
Darkwings.
stun. Oh my gosh, on the backside, Darkwings does so much. He's going to get followed up by the Onslaught of Shadows here with XU. Cozy, the next target, a double kill for XU. Lynx and Dox are on the run. The flash forward by XU, who's got the speed. A nice feather storm. The Blade Caller is going to find the route onto XU, but it's a triple kill for this Hecarim. Dox on the run, and once again, the end of the game comes so very quickly for Taco Gaming. Dignitas almost getting another ace.
Well, Taco said they weren't going down without a fight. It certainly was a fight from them, but Dignitas, they're the ones that got the lead. They're the ones that had the scaling comp, and there are Academy squad that are looking to move forward in the lower bracket off the back of some great play from their mid-jungle duo in this game, too, against Taco Gaming.
At the end of the day, they can just pad their stats right here. Ooh, it was a nice dragon kick right there to come out of Trickster, but that is going to be the end of it. 22 minutes and 40 seconds, a very decisive win on that game number 2. And unfortunately for me and Kangas, we were absolutely wrong. Not only did it not go to Taco Gaming, it also didn't go out to 3 games. Dignitas Academy really flexing their muscles there at the end.
I think that Dig, you know, Taco Gaming, just too many instances of them overextending on the map, and props to Dig. Every time that happened, they had the TPs. They were ready to punish. That was a lot of game 1, but also game 2. They broke what Taco Gaming wanted to do with some really good play coming out of XU in the top side originally, and then Darkwings really picked up and ran with it from there. I think that Ahri, that last flank that Darkwings was able to find, my goodness, that was massive from him. And, you know, we said coming into the day, Darkwings was that player we were really setting up, teasing, had that card for. Darkwings is someone that in Academy has been consistent at doing his job. And I think that we saw that a lot in game 1. But we also said we wanted to see more pop-offs from this player as he keeps on growing into his role as an Academy mid laner. And we certainly saw that in game 2 as Darkwings, with the help of XU, really helped drive home a game 2 victory for the side of Dignitas, and 2 strong games coming out of our Academy squad in the lower bracket.
I mean, with the help of XU, yeah, honestly, I think that one of the things that impressed me most coming out of Darkwings was the fancy footing that we got out of this guy, dodging every single ability, and even with the amount of engage and initiation that we wanted to see that actually did kind of come to fruition for Taco Gaming in game number 2 that was lacking in game number 1. If you can't land it, then you're not going to be able to make a move onto this player, and he was ensuring that none of that stuff actually hit and stuck. So it was a little bit more particular in terms of the style of initiation that Taco Gaming had, which allowed Dignitas to just kind of run rampant once Hecarim got a few kills.
Yeah, and you know, I think the series, you know, for Dignitas, it shows some good signs because, you know, we did see game 1 Spawn go off, some really good map setups coming out of them, but then game 2, XU reading the map like that on a farming jungler, we know him for the gankers, but this is definitely an area where he's really grown as a player throughout the split of Academy. Seeing that now come to fruition in Proving Grounds is great. And then Darkwings, you know, the further this guy gets into his Academy career, it feels like we're getting more and more good moments out of him. No longer falling behind in the lane phase. I know that he fell behind a little bit there against Dox, but was able to bounce back with the help of XU and really pay that off tenfold as the game went on. Some beautiful flanks, some really good mechanical team fighting coming out of him, and showing the Dignitas Academy, not a team to be trifled with in the lower bracket. They're trying to make a run just like every other squad that we have. They move forward. They're going to play the winner of our second best of 3 that we have on the day in the lower bracket. And they're only one best of 3 away from reaching those elusive best of 5s, the series that everyone in this tournament wants to play in.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have to see how that plays out, though. We are going to take a quick break. Check once more back in with the man, the myth, the legend himself in Kangas. But until then, stick around. We'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our Verizon post-game interview. I have the victorious mid laner Darkwings here after a dominant 2-0 and revenge for your Academy brethren in Evil Geniuses Academy as they lost to Taco Gaming first, but not Dignitas. I want to get your first thoughts on Taco Gaming. What was it like? What was your impression of them and their performance?
I think Taco Gaming's like pretty solid amateur team. I think I have I like Doxa a lot, and I think he's pretty good. And also their coach has coached me for a while, so I think their team was pretty good. But I think we beat them today because they messed up a bit, and we punished them.
The punishes were severe, especially in that second game. That outplay where you flashed to land the second charge of the Ari Orb of Deception onto Cozy, that was absolutely insane. First off, do you remember that moment? And then if you do, walk me through it. Was that instinct? Was that like big brain analysis? Like, what was that moment like?
It was like I came in and I was like, we're gonna win this fight, and then it ended up being really close because the Lee Sin and Camille was healing up a lot, and then when I was the last one left, I knew my only opportunity to come back was to use my flash to get the second part off my Q off.
After a performance like that, how do you calm down the nerves? Because if I did something like that in a game, I guarantee you I'm screaming on comms for the rest of that game. So as a player, when you still have to refocus, like how do you make sure that you're staying in a positive headspace?
It's just everyone goes like, "Oh, nice," and after that we're like, "Okay, like what's next?" You just keep it down.
All right. Wow. I mean, hey, that's I think a harder thing to do than a lot of people must realize, but that's definitely highlight reel worthy. So we'll send you the clip later on, Darkwings. Don't worry. Now that game 2 was probably the best performance that we've seen from Dignitas Academy all split. And I'm curious what your opinion is of the team and development from the beginning of the spring, because Dignitas Academy, the last Academy roster to put all 5 players together, and kind of the expectation was it would take some time for everybody to gel. So what would you say the difference is between Dignitas Academy now and what we saw at the beginning of the split?
I think we're a lot more like cohesive as a unit. We try to get everyone on the same page like as often as we can, and I think that's like made our gameplay a lot better. And focusing on like what the next objective is, like what's next.
Always looking forward, always looking to the future, never taking time to freak out about your last plays. What about yourself individually, though? Because you were just in the shoes of the Taco Gaming players last time you were in Proving Grounds. So what's the difference that you've seen from yourself and your own individual growth?
I think it's there's a lot of combination of like small things that I feel like I've improved on. I think it's nothing like I don't think I've gotten like that much better, but I do feel like I've gotten better in like individually, like in like in small aspects.
Some of the little things. Do you have any specific examples? Is it like laning phase, matchup understandings, roam timers, like anything concrete that you've been working on?
It's like it's just like everything. It's like, yeah.
All the little things adding up. They do amount to quite a lot of weight in the overall grand scope of the games. Now, you have officially surpassed your placement from last summer's Proving Grounds when you were on AoE, so congratulations on that you're now in your current deepest run. And you're one more best of 3 away from making the best of 5s. What would a deep Proving Grounds run mean to you, to the team, to everyone at Dignitas Academy?
It would definitely mean a lot to us. I think we want to show that we can do we have what it takes to make it far.
Do you have any predictions for who your next opponent's going to be? Because with this win in the bracket, your next opponents will be the winner of course, the next match that we have on today, which I'm trying to pull up really quick right here so I can reference it without forgetting it. It will, of course, be Evil Geniuses Prodigies versus FlyQuest Academy. Do you have a prediction? Who's winning that one?
I think FlyQuest will win, even though I'm good friends with Faisal and Sketch Streams. I'm sure they'll do great. But I think FlyQuest right now is also performing really well.
All right, self-faith in the Academy teams. Thank you so much, Darkwings. You have the podium. Any final shout-outs you have for anybody out there watching?
Thank you to my brother, Kaylee, Katie, my girlfriend, and all my teammates.
I love it. Thank you so much, Darkwings, and best of luck preparing for your next match.
Thank you.
And with that said, we'll bring back the casters for the day, Jolly and Cubby, as